All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the D.T.M podcast. I'm Devin Dunnigan, and here with me, as usual, is Mr. Stephen Mott. How you doing, brother?
Great brother Jake C, drummer Fricka-Dang.
All righty. What about you, Pete?
Good.
All righty. So we are back with another brand spanking new episode, and this week we're going to be taking a look at the 1994 self-titled album by Mötley Crüe, and this was the audience participation pick for the month of July. So they picked one out of the three albums given, and this was the one that won. I think the other ones were Van Halen 3, which we're going to do in the future, and a Creedence Clearwater Revival compilation. I think it was the Essentials or something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, we're back and we're going to be talking about some Mötley Crüe. And I originally intended to do some Mötley Crüe way before now. I wanted to do New Tattoo at one point, back when we first started, but it never did happen. But yeah, now we're back and we're going to be doing this episode here. And this is definitely an interesting record. And just some backstory going with this record. I mean, at this point, when Vince Neil left the band for this record, Mötley Crüe was one of the biggest bands in the world. And I mean, they had came along with Dr. Feelgood, and then Decade of Decadence was even more successful. And everyone kind of thought that this was going to be the same thing, but Vince Neil, he left the band in 1992 or was fired, depending on who you ask. You know how that goes with musicians and that the drama in a band and stuff like that. But yeah, Vince Neil departed the band and they started seeking potential people to come in his place. And at this point in time, the lead singer here, John Corabi, was in a band called The Scream, and they had put out one album called Let It Scream. And Nikki Sixx had said some kind words about the album. He liked the record. And so John Corabi reached out to Nikki Sixx to basically thank him for the kind words about the record. And that's pretty much how they became involved with one another. And eventually he was invited to come audition to be in the band and made it. And they pretty much started writing the day they got together. And this is actually a point in the band's career where it feels like they are seasoned professionals. They are a band going in and making an album. And to me, the other albums didn't have that. It was just them kind of going in, doing something. They were the bad boys of rock and roll, and they put it out there, and it was a success. This album it was musicians going in, putting their heart and soul into something and making a great album that has very much aged well. And so, Steve, give me your thoughts going into this record right off the bat.
My thoughts are I didn't know anything about it before. I still don't. I don't know anything about Mötley Crüe at all. I've heard about them before, slightly, and I don't know what else to say without giving it away because this is the only album I've ever heard by them. And to tell you the truth, I really didn't hear this whole album. So I really couldn't make it through it. It was just kind of that bad. I mean, it had me really, peeing off and throwing stuff at the wall. So I don't know. Back to you, Devin.
All righty. So, Pete, what are your opening opinions on this record?
Probably interesting, I reckon.
Okay. So let's get into the record then with track number 1 on here, Power to the Music. So this starts the album off with a bang. This is very good. very good song. I really like this song. I think this is great, and I mean it just puts out a stance and just says something right off the bat with this record. I mean, don't tell me to turn it down. Power to the music out in the streets. I love it. I think this is a fantastic song. Kind of, it kind of bridges the gap between the crew of the '80s into this version of Motley Crue. And I mean, I don't know if I talked about it opening up the album or anything like that, but this was not supposed to be Motley Crue supposedly, and then I've heard it was supposed to be Motley Crue. So I don't know. John Robbie says they wanted to change the name, and he also said that he was auditioned to be the singer of Motley Crue. And so I don't know. He said the band pressured them to keep the name, and then on the next album they were pressuring them to bring back Vince Neil to the band. So I mean, just shows you how the music business is. But yeah, I mean, getting back on topic here, Power to the Music's fantastic. I was talking about it kind of bridges the gap between old school Crue and the new school Crue. I mean, you've got some harmonica, kind of a bluesy solo section in the song, and John Robbie plays proficient rhythm and lead guitar. So I mean, you've got that on this record. And yeah, I think this is a really, really cool song overall. And the middle drum break when they go back into the final part of the song by Tommy Lee all across this record, a fantastic drummer. I know a lot of people find him kind of overrated and kind of more style over substance. I think he's fantastic. He has a specific style that just really fits what this band is. So yeah, I mean, I love the song. Great opener to the album. Steve, what is your thoughts on Power to the Music?
I absolutely could not stand it. But if I was going to say that there was anything worth listening to, like 1% out of 100, this would be it off the album. But the rest is garbage. This is garbage too. But I mean, it's just terrible. The singer is making these weird noises with his voice, and it's just weird, and it just makes me mad. Um, and I hate metal, and I don't know. I mean, I just don't know.
I just don't know. Okay, so Pete, take this track.
It's probably okay, but not bad as crap, though.
Okay, so then that brings us to track number 2 on the album, Uncle Jack. So a huge departure, very, very dark subject matter with this song, and just another really, really good song, though. I mean, this is straight ahead metal, traditional metal in 1994. People say this is grunge or alternative metal. There's elements of some of that on here, but this is a straight ahead hard rock heavy metal album of 1994. And this song is great. I love this song. I mean, nothing else, not much else I can say about this song. I mean, I love it. I love the coda at the very end of it. I think it's fantastic. So, Steve, take Uncle Jack.
I started to lose track, honestly. Listening to this album because I just kind of hated it all. So I'm just gonna speak on this particular subject as one big cesspool of a crap hole of an album. But I hated it. So I mean, if it was in 1994, I mean, people would need to be listening to From the Cradle. I mean, because I mean, this is crap. I mean, this is the worst thing since sliced cheese. I mean, I I just don't know.
Well, thanks for giving me a pick of the week this week. So, Pete, you take Uncle Jack. What are your thoughts?
Terrible. Like a crick. Nah, it's okay.
Okay. So that brings us to track number 3 and the lead single off the record, Hooligan's Holiday. So this is pretty much, I could see this being a pretty traditional Motley Crue song in a slightly different arrangement. I mean, it's got that kind of anthemic in-your-face, bombastic approach with this song, made for a stadium. I mean, made specifically for an audience to sing along with. Unfortunately, that didn't happen because this album bombed when it was released. But I mean, great song, love it. One of the best songs on the album. To me, the perfect single. I couldn't see any other song on here being a single for the record, other than, of course, the singles that were actually released. But I mean, to me, this is the perfect choice for a lead single. I mean, I think this says everything there is to say about this record and its kind of overall tone and the way it presents itself. It's such a great song, and I just love it. I think it's really, really good. And this deserves to be on all of the Mötley Crüe greatest hits albums. And it's only been on, I think, one. So I mean, pretty much this album's meant to be largely forgotten by the members. Well, one member in particular, but I mean, I'll get to that toward the end of the album. But yeah, I mean, I love the song. Steve, what are your thoughts on Hooligan's Holiday?
This kind of puts me in the mind of a song by Van Halen, in which the singer's making monkey noises because I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. It just kind of reminds me of that for some odd reason, and I don't remember anything about it, but it sucks. So David Lee Roth is trash, um, and I just don't know.
Oh my. So then we move. Well, we got to get Pete here to talk about it. So Pete, talk about Hooligan's Holiday.
This Gilligan. Gilligan sucks. Sound like a doggy turd on a dookie plate.
Okay. So then we move to track number 4, Misunderstood. So yeah, I mean, great song, and you've got Glenn Hughes singing on this track. He sings background vocals during the chorus after the song really kicks in, and the chorus reminds me of Sweet Home Alabama a lot, getting into the overall kind of the chorus structure and kind of the melody. But yeah, I love the song. I think it's great. Video was made for it along with Hooligan's Holiday, and it's just an overall great song. And this is the perfect second single off the record. And to me, it's not too far off from where they were headed on Dr. Feelgood. I mean, this is kind of somewhat of a ballad, but it's not. It's kind of like this mid-tempo kind of this hard ballad, sort of hard rock ballad. And I just think it's a great song, great song. So yeah, not much else I can say there. I mean, the instrumentation's great. Tommy Lee does great on drums all throughout the song. I mean, he's a great drummer. So I mean, yeah, I think it's a great song. So Steve, take Misunderstood.
I think Dr. Phil should have been the singer for this song, and for this whole record. I mean, I think it's just a no-brainer, honestly. I mean,
So Pete, take Misunderstood.
It's definitely way better than that Van Halen album that sounded like they was making monkey noises and
Okay. So that brings us to track number 5, Love Shine. And once again, I really enjoy this song. I mean, kind of short and to the point. It's, I believe, the shortest song on the entire record, and I really enjoy it. I think it's an acoustic kind of another Zeppelinish style song, and or kind of reminds me of Zeppelin, and also kind of reminds me of like early Aerosmith. And I like it. I think it's a great song. It's short and to the point, and I mean, no problems with the song here. I mean, I like it, and it's just kind of probably the probably one of the more happier songs on the record as far as the overall subject matter goes. I believe this was written about all of them's wives and stuff like that at the time. So I mean, if you want to hear more of the kind of behind the scenes stuff, go listen to Decibel Geek's Albums Unleashed on this record because he goes through all the tracks and talks about the behind the scenes stuff of this album. It's a really good listen. I listened to part of it myself preparing for review. So yeah, I love the song. Steve, take Love Shine.
Uh, uh, I mean, I mean, I just don't know.
Alrighty, so Pete, take Love Shine.
I don't know.
Okay, so then we move to track number 6, Poison Apple. So this is kind of the first dip in the record for me. I like the song, and it's definitely the closest to Dr. Feelgood on this record. This you could have very easily taken John Corabi out through Vince Neil in on this song, and it wouldn't have changed much. I mean, this kind of feels like Kickstart My Heart Part 2. And I like the song. It's just not one of my favorites on here. I mean, it's kind of this psychedelic sort of mid-tempo. We love the Monta Hoople and the whole entire lyrical content's kind of out there. But I mean, I like the song, but I was talking about earlier. I think the album's a little bit too long. You could have probably have taken this track off and maybe put this as a B-side or something, or a bonus track somewhere. I mean, it's a good song. I like it, but it's not the best in the world. It's one of my least favorites on the record.
It'll make a dog's hair fall out like daggum nuclear reaction or something.
Okay then. So that brings us to track number 7, and that is Hammered. So this is pretty much written about Vince Neil. I mean, listen to the lyrics and you can totally tell who it's about. And it's a very there's animosity there, that's for sure. I mean, there's a lot of venom within this band with Vince Neil's ousted out of the band and all. But I mean, it's a good song. I really enjoy it. I think the riff is pretty cool, and it's just kind of a mid-tempo rocker, very very heavy. And there's not much else I can say about the song other than I really enjoy it. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of their they did this on this album, and they did another one on New Tattoo for Tommy Lee when he was out of the band. But yeah, I mean, I like the song. I think it's really cool. Okay, so then we move to track number 8 on the record, Till Death Do Us Part. As I said, this was the working title for the record. And this is another one I think could have been taken off the record. I like the song. It has this kind of epic nature to it. But I mean, I could do without it. I like the song. No, I don't get me wrong. I think every song on here is really good. But I mean, I just I would have taken this off. I mean, it's clocked in at 6 minutes and 3 seconds. This isn't the longest song on here at all. But I mean, yeah, this is another kind of fillerish track. But I do enjoy it. I think maybe if they would have saved this and Poison Apples for Generation Swine may have been a better album than what it is. But I mean, whatever the case may be, things happen. Whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's a good song. Kind of has this epic vibe to it. Okay. So then that brings us to track number 9, Welcome to the Numb. So this is another one on the record that I think could have very well fit on Dr. Feelgood. It sounds like classic style Mötley Crüe. I mean, I could very much see Vince Neil singing on this song. And I mean, it's kind of got this real cool groove to it. And I like it. I think it's a great song. And it's got some harmonica on here. And I mean, once again, kind of bridging the gap between the old crew and the new crew. And I like it. I think it's a good song. And I mean, it kind of has this cool groove. It has this punky sort of vibe to it. And it's just a really cool song. And I believe this was Something in a Hole was the working title for this. I was watching the rehearsals for this earlier today. I believe it was 6 Feet in a Hole or something like, or Digging Me a Hole was what it was originally supposed to be called when they were demoing it or rehearsing the song, or writing the song, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, that's just a small little tidbit to add to the song. But I like it. I think it's pretty cool. I think this is another one that Vince Neil could have got on here and just sang, and it wouldn't have been any different. So then that brings us to track number 10, Smoke the Sky. So this is another one that has kind of the traditional Motley vibe, but this is way, way heavier than anything the band's put out at this point. I mean, this is even heavier than some of the stuff on Shout at the Devil. I mean, this is pretty much borderline thrash metal, and a video was made for this. I believe it's on the Greatest Hits DVD or something like that. I've seen the video before, and it's a pretty cool video. I like the song. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you what the song's about, the subject matter. Just freaking listen to the song, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about the track. But yeah, I mean, I like the song. I love the heaviness to it. The breakdown in the middle where it gets really, really freaking heavy and just kind of this pounding riff in there, and John Corabi screaming and all. I love that. I think that's great. And just overall, a really, really good song. And I haven't even talked about Mick Mars. I mean, Mick Mars is a madman on this album. I mean, he's a fantastic guitar player, and some of the tracks on these Mötley Crüe albums that aren't the best of the world, some of them he saves. He's a really underrated guitar player, and definitely should get some more credit because he doesn't get the credit I think he deserves. So yeah, I mean, Smoke the Sky is really cool. Short and to the point of a song. Then we move to track number 11, Dropping Like Flies. So this is a song where I think there is a lot of grunge influence. This sounds like Alice in Chains to me. I like the song. I think this one is really, really cool. It does kind of, I've talked about it in the past, and I've got kind of a smart remark about it from one of our generous co-hosts here. But this feels like the next to last track on the record. This kind of feels like the kind of prelude to the finale of the record, and I like it. I think it's a good song. It's 6 minutes and 24 seconds long, the second longest song on the record, and yeah, I mean, I like the track. I think it's really cool. You've got this kind of heavier part of the chorus after you had this kind of pre-chorus, and then he gets in where he's saying dropping like flies, and I mean, very, very heavy stuff. And I've said that about this whole entire album. Very, very heavy. And pretty much the subject matter is written about all of the deaths and stuff like that that were happening at the times, about the whole AIDS epidemic at the time. And all right, so then we move to track number 12, the final track on the record, and that is Drift Away. So this is the softest thing on the record. This is by far the most mellowed out song on the entire record, and this even sounds more like Dr. Feelgood, I think, than anything else on the record. I probably said everything else sounds like Dr. Feelgood here and there, but I mean, this one really does. This sounds like kind of that obligatory ballad of the time, or this was 94, so I mean, that was kind of out of style, but I mean, at that point, I mean, there were ballads that really drove bands' success rate way up, and it was kind of an album this heavy, closing it off with a straight, very mellow ballad was a pretty interesting choice. But I mean, it's a beautiful song. I think it's a very beautiful song and a good way to close the record. And yeah, there's not much else I can say. I like the song. And like I said, this one as well feels like classic Mötley Crüe. So yeah, So pretty much everything I've said is that this album is not too much different from traditional Mötley Crüe as a lot of people say it is. This sounds like traditional Mötley Crüe to me. So yeah, just with a different singer. So that brings an end to the record. There are 3 bonus tracks on the reissued version, and I'll just talk about those real quick. Hypnotized. I like the song. It's kind of a fillerish track. I can very much tell why it was left off the record. I believe this was a Japanese bonus track, if I'm not bad wrong. And then the next one, Baby Kills, this was released on the Quaternary EP, and I like the song. I mean, it really and truly doesn't fit the record itself, but I think it's still a good track. And then Living in the Know, the opening riff is pretty much a rip off of Voodoo Child. So, I mean, it's a good song though. I mean, later when it finally gets into the song itself, it kind of comes together, and it's nothing really to do with Voodoo Child at all. Yeah, I like the track, the tracks, and I think there's a few more. Like there's the Hooligans Holiday Skinny Puppy remix, which is like 12 minutes long, and it's like nothing but the second half of the song's industrial sounds and all of that, and just this industrial beat. And then 1,000 miles or 10,000 miles away, I think is what it's called. And it's another kind of ballady song, and I like it though. I think it's a pretty good song. You could have put that on here, taken another one of these tracks off, and then there's what else? The 4 songs that were on the Quaternary. You've got Friends, Father, Bittersweet, and then you got another one. Oh, Planet Boom. Planet Boom's not very. It's kind of like hip hop sort of thing. Where exactly where Tommy Lee was trying to go, and then I believe Friends was. I can't remember. It was, I believe, the John Corabi song. Father was 86, and then Bittersweet was an instrumental by Mick Mars. So, I mean, yeah, I like the tracks for what it was. I only heard that EP one time back in the day. So, I mean, don't remember much else about it other than Baby Kills, I remember. And I remember Planet Boom. So, yeah, that's the end of the record. If you're going to pick up a version of this record, pick up the 2003 reissue. And that's got the 3 bonus tracks. It's pretty much the most complete version that you can find. And yeah, I mean, the cover was printed in red, yellow, and then I think there's a green and kind of orangish version too that's out there. So, I mean, a few different variations on the cover. And I mean, this polarized Mötley Crüe fans. Some fans say, "Oh, this isn't Mötley Crüe because it's got a different singer and kind of sounds different." And I keep saying it. I could see this being a traditional Mötley Crüe album. Don't get me wrong. There is a fine line between Dr. Feelgood and this record. I mean, none of those previous albums were. They didn't really have that heavy edge this one does. I think this one has a particular heavier edge than those. But I could see some of these songs, as I was said, being traditional Mötley Crüe songs. So yeah, I mean, I like the record, and I think it's just an amazing record. By far, to me, the best thing they've ever put out. Up next to Shout at the Devil. I think this is the best. Shout at the Devil second, and then Too Fast for Love is 3, and then we're kind of up and down going on. So yeah, I love it. And just I was talking about earlier, I think one of the band members wants to forget about this era. Nikki Sixx seems like he wants to forget about this era of the band. I mean, it's not widely out there when it comes to the general releases of the Mötley Crüe catalog. They did do a short excerpt in the Dirt movie that was released several years ago, but it was nothing more than like a short segment, and they just jumped right over it. And I mean, this album's not widely talked about. I saw something. I was looking at an interview with John Corabi the other day, and pretty much Nikki Sixx had nothing but unkind words to say about this record. And he says that it was unfocused and that this, that, and the other thing. John Corabi didn't know how to write music. I mean, I think that's all a bunch of crap. And I mean, I think it's the best thing. You probably think it's the worst thing in the discography. So, yeah, I mean, polarizing for sure. So, Pete, what are your picks of the week? Movies and music.
David Allen Coe and Michael Myers.
Okay. So, my pick of the week is going to be probably this is controversial, but I'm going to pick it anyway. For Lawful Carnal Knowledge, Van Halen, the third with Sammy Hagar at the helm. I know a lot of people hate this version of the band, rightfully so. It's way different, but Kiss Exposed from 1986. So that's my movie pick of the week. So yeah, that's the episode. See you next time, guys. Bye bye.